Now, I didn't get a chance to talk about the AAA show last weekend because I had to record the sound off a day early, thanks to Clash in Italy being in the middle of the day on Sunday. I did talk about it at length on the Uncrowned Wrestling show, though, on Tuesday, which is where that show comes in very handy in situations like that. But I will give you the Cliff's Notes version here. I loved it. And there has been no better spectacle, just start to finish, soup to nuts, entrances to exit in anywhere in wrestling all year. The closest thing would be Tanahashi's retirement match against Okada at the Tokyo Dome, which was also very emotional, just the pure emotion of it all. That post-match was also very special with all the names coming out to the ring to pay respect to Tanahashi, and then him celebrating in the air guitar, and then him on the parade float around the stadium. Like, all of that was great. That's the closest thing that I could think of. But in terms of the level of just pure hatred and animus between two people, that didn't have it in the way that this match did. The match was it was so great. They replayed it on Netflix. It was so great. At the end of Raw on Monday night, they kept pushing that replay, boy, over and over again. So all told, when you add up the total number of views that it got on the various like YouTube channels, WWE's channel, AAA's channel, the Somos Fox channel, which has almost 1 million subscribers, we're talking well over 3 million views, somewhere between 3 and 4 million views at a minimum. That does not include whatever it did on Netflix on Monday or since Monday. So a lot of people saw that match, more than what normally watch wrestling these days. You saw why that match had to happen when and where it did. WrestleMania would not have been the right place for it. The United States would not have been the right place for it. Those fans were invested in a way that the fans here simply were not. You could see it whenever these guys were on Raw. It was just another feud. It was another match. Even just the idea of seeing an American masquerading around as a Mexican luchador, feuding with a German who was masquerading around as the American fake luchador, all in the name of Mexican pride. Like, it is a completely ridiculous premise. It should have failed. It should have been nothing more than a comedy feud that wrapped up in 6 weeks. And instead, it turned into this cultural phenomenon down there, and it created a legitimate star in El Grande Americano, Kaiser. Got to be specific here, El Grande Americano Kaiser. That doesn't happen if Chad Gable doesn't tear his rotator cuff and needs surgery. The best thing that ever happened to either one of these guys was Gable getting hurt. As weird as that is to say, it was a happy accident. You know, for Kaiser, he spoke the language, which was a big reason why he got over the way he did. Gable couldn't have done that. He spoke to them. Literally spoke to them. And they've embraced him in a way that nobody could have ever predicted. In my opinion, he should keep that mask on for the rest of his career and never take it off. He will never be as over as Ludwig Kaiser than he is right now as El Grande Americano. Undertaker, Jeremy Borash, they all deserve credit for running with this and creating this really special night. I didn't think the rest of that AAA show was anything special. It was good. It was fine. You know, Ray Phoenix and Laredo Kid got 11 minutes for their match. They should have gotten more. But that was about as much of a one-match show as we've seen in a very long time, probably since Saturday Night's Main Event last December, because we all knew that was about John Cena's final match. Right? We got some other cool things on that show, but let's be honest, it was all about one match. It was about John Cena against Gunther. It was a one-match show. But the match itself was just fantastic. Just this great dramatic pro wrestling match with tons of cameos from people that had been part of this storyline going back many months. The blind comedian, Pimpinella Escarlata returning, Kaiser's girlfriend who was fired but showed up in the front row with a ticket, Rayo and Bravo and Julio and Bruto and the Blood. I mean, Gable more than Kaiser. Gable was just bleeding like a faucet because he knew, right? This may be the only chance in this company that I get to use the blade. I'm going to make the most of it. And so after 33 minutes, blood dripping down his face as he pulls the mask off to reveal the worst kept secret in wrestling. You know, he says his name, which really is still his work name, but his other name and his birthday and where he's from, right? The sort of thing that you would see with a traditional unmasking in Lucha Libre. And for what started as comedy, they treated it at the end with the respect that it deserved. And he hands the mask off to Kaiser, and he announces that somehow, some way, I don't know how, I don't know when, I will be back in AAA. And he gets cheered like a hero. He entered as the villain, but he left a hero. You could not have asked for a better ending than that. Now, I wish the announcers were all there together live. I've seen differing accounts about whether or not Corey Graves was legitimately there and then flew to Italy, or if he did his commentary remotely from Italy at 3 o'clock in the morning for the show, which is what I think happened. Rey Mysterio was there live. JBL clearly was not. He was sitting in his bunker in Texas or wherever he lived, New York. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking care. But they usually do the commentary for the shows remotely. You could tell just by listening to it. And you could tell when they do, it doesn't sound the same. Their calls on some of the spots are off by a few seconds because there's a delay. And when they're in studio like that, something else I've noticed, it ends up muting the crowd noise a little bit. So I just wish they would have found a way to get all three of them together to call the show from ringside, even if it meant subbing Wade Barrett in for Corey Graves on commentary with Michael Cole in Italy. You know, because if ever there was a time for them to be there live for a big show, this was it. Yeah, this is going to go down as one of the best matches this company has ever produced. I think they should have been there at ringside for it. But that would be my only real critique about any of this. Now, Chad Gable did not appear on Monday night. They did plug the shit out of the replay of that match about half a dozen different times. But he did show up on Smackdown in a couple of backstage segments. He was there to meet with Nick Aldis, but not before having this tense face-off. No words were exchanged, just kind of staring at each other, him and Sami Zayn, before Aldis ushered him into his office for a chat. And I don't get the sense they're setting up anything with him and Sami. This was just their way of kind of showing him initially on screen. Later on, we saw Gable in the back looking for Rey Fenix. Rey Fenix was just hanging out backstage with his new AAA Cruiserweight title. He was talking to Axiom and Nathan Frazier. And so then Gable walks over. He says, "Can I just talk to Phoenix alone?" And he did what Roman Reigns could never do with his own family. He asked for forgiveness for his past transgressions. And because he mocked Lucha Libre, right? But he says he has learned to respect it. And he wanted to fly all the way to Italy just to look Rey Fenix in the eye and ask for forgiveness. And Phoenix gave it to him. But he also cautioned him, I'm not the only luchador that you need to be asking forgiveness from. And so, as I said in my SmackDown review, he's talking about Penta. He's talking about his brother. And so are we looking at Chad Gable challenging Penta for the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam? Because I think that's the play, and if it's not, it should be. Now, Penta is defending that championship tomorrow night on Raw. They're going to be in Paris. He's defending it against Rey Mysterio. So I don't expect Penta to be losing the championship. Although, look, I mean, if they wanted to give Rey Mysterio one more token run with the IC title, I'm sure it would get a huge reaction in Paris. Look at the reaction he got on Raw in Italy this past Monday. The fucking hard cam was shaking when he tagged in. It was him and Dragon Lee against Ethan Page and Rusev. So they could do it. I'm not anticipating it. I don't really see the point of doing that. Ray's already got the whole GM gig with AAA. He doesn't need the Intercontinental title. But they're going to have that match. It should be good, and Penta will win. And then the question becomes, who's next? Right? I've mentioned Ethan Page. I think he ultimately ends up with that championship in the not-too-distant future. I think he's perfect for that Intercontinental title. But even more than that, we're in a position now where we're heading into this two-night SummerSlam, US Bank Stadium, Minneapolis, Minnesota. And guess where Chad Gable was born? Guess where Chad Gable is from? Minneapolis, Minnesota. And so you could not have set up a better place for a Chad Gable win over Penta or whoever to win the Intercontinental Championship. It's in his hometown. If the timing had worked out better, to be honest with you, I would have had him in the King of the Ring tournament. I would have leapfrogged right over this Intercontinental title stuff, and I would have had him in the King of the Ring. You talk about taking advantage of like the moment and the momentum that he has immediately coming out of that mask versus mask match. That again was so great, they replayed it on Netflix, which was not the original plan. I would have had him in the King of the Ring. Give him the crown, let him challenge Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. But it's too late for that. So this is the next best thing. If they were ever going to get serious about a Chad Gable push, this is it. There's no more excuses. There's no more delays. There's no more, well, I don't know. Let's wait and see. All that bullshit is over. It's over. The single most underutilized, underappreciated talent on the entire WWE roster, and there are a lot of them, is Chad Gable. And Chad Gable ain't getting any younger. This is the point I made the other night. What is he now, 40? When he joined the company, he was 30. Because American Alpha, man, that goes back to like that's got to go back 2015, 2016, NXT. It's been a decade. What are you waiting for? You were just handed another opportunity to do something with this guy. Take it. It's now or never. It's up to Triple H. Don't fumble this.